What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Dream a Little, the podcast that's all about helping you feel confident about your kink so you can share it with your significant other. I'm your host, Lo, and today we've got a very special episode with our special guest, Jake. This has got to be one of my favorite episodes just because his story is so interesting. He's opened up to over 40 close friends. I don't know if you've ever seen the show Dexter, but if you have, you know that the main character, Dexter, has a code for all of his victims. Jake also has a code, so before he can tell anyone about his kink, they have to tick these certain boxes. If they don't, he chooses not to open up. I think you're going to love this episode as much as I did, and if you do love it, please feel free to reach out to Jake on social media. You can find his FetLife at baboom6789. I'll link to this in the show notes, which you can find at thelittlelounge.com/103. If you're struggling to open up to your significant other, but you have no idea where to start, be sure to download my free guidebook, The 6 Steps to Coming Out Kinky. You can get access by going to thelittlelounge.com/103. All right, I won't make you wait any longer. Let's just dive right in. Hey, Jake, how's it going? Welcome to the show.
Very good, very good. Thank you very much for welcoming me.
It's so nice to have someone from another country on the show, New Zealander in the house over here.
Yeah, I can't imagine there are many. I mean, there very well could be. It's basically a very small country, so I can only imagine people hide their identity probably a lot more than they would in the larger centres. So yeah, I mean, I haven't heard or seen many on ABL podcasts or websites, so I figured it was probably time for someone to raise their hand. Yeah.
That's really interesting. You know, it's so hard to find out actually how many people are into this kink just because I feel like everyone's in hiding.
Exactly.
You know?
And many of the podcasts that I've listened to so far of yours, I think I struck up an Instagram conversation asking a few generic questions a few months ago, and that's redirected me to the website. Once I'd listened to a few, it sounded like everybody had the same experience growing up where they thought they were the only one or they didn't think it was normal. So I think to a large degree, a lot of us kind of still are in that kind of, that mental box where, how do you kind of raise your hand without giving away too much and putting yourself at risk and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, short of just having, people aren't going to drive around with a bumper sticker on their car that says, no. I'm into this.
And I find most other kinks, a lot of people are quite willing to talk about those in general conversation. Everybody knows a guy who's into something or a girl who's into something, but no one really kind of goes to this, what I would describe as the final frontier. I mean, everybody has their own frontier when it comes to this sort of thing, but it just doesn't seem to be something that would ever pop up in a conversation or that many people would be comfortable just bringing up in a bar with their friends as they would when you hear about other kinks. So I don't know what makes it about this kink that seems to be so secretive, but then I can also understand it. It is kind of taboo, I suppose. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people can misunderstand it. So how long have you been into this, and are you more of the AB or DL side?
It's hard to say. I mean, I'm not very good at acronyms, so when I first went on the internet and started looking this stuff up, I didn't actually know what a whole lot of this meant. So particularly the switch aspect. So it took me a little while to kind of read generic conversation amongst the others and realize I think I was more DL, probably a little bit AB, but not too much, but more DL switch basically. And I've been into this as long as I can remember. I can't really think of what struck it up, but as long as I can remember, I think my earliest memory of it was when I was about 4 years old, and it's been a constant since then. There was a kind of a lull period throughout my early kind of teens, and then straight back into it again. So yeah, as long as I can remember, which I'm sure many people can agree with.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's really, really young. So when you were growing up, you said you went through a kind of a difficult period. What age was that, and how did you get through it?
I think it wasn't so much a difficult period, but just kind of a lull in kind of my need or want to wear or have them put on me or put them on someone else. So it was more around the period of puberty. I think that's where a lot of people are going through a whole lot of changes in the mental aspects of their life and things like that. So that's where you started kind of being attracted to girls in a different way for a lot of people. And I think at that time, because I think this was in a way quite sexualized for someone who was quite young and didn't understand entirely what was going on, that kind of threw a lot of confusion into the mix around that sort of age where you're pubescent and you're going into your adolescence. So it was a very, very kind of confusing time as opposed to difficult. It was difficult in the aspect of just being a curious young child. And I look back now among the friends that know, and we kind of laugh about how strange of a child I would have been if you had to kind of have me in your care, or just because of what was going through my head at the time.
Yeah, totally. I
Yeah.
can totally understand how it could be confusing too and conflicting a little bit. So, do you think you kind of just lost interest because you genuinely didn't want to do it, or because you felt like it was wrong? What do you think?
No, I didn't kind of lose interest. I think it was almost like I forgot about it for a while. As I started becoming attractive to girls in the conventional way, at that young age where, most people do, around sort of 12, 11, 13, I think it kind of got overtaken by the kind of natural aspects of going through puberty. And then once that was all sort of became normal again, it almost came back to me again. And it was almost like I just completely forgot about it for a couple of years, which is really kind of strange. Yeah.
Yeah, that is really interesting because I think I've gone through periods of that too, and then suddenly it creeps back up on you, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm so weird."
Almost comes out of nowhere, like, oh, that's right, that's who I am. Yeah.
So how did you deal with that when the urges like came back?
It was quite odd because it came back really, really strongly when I was about 13. I'm not sure what sparked it to come back. It almost sort of came out of nowhere when it came to, I suppose, just the fantasies one has in one's head and stuff like that at that young age when you have all these hormones going through your body. And it became to the point where I think I would often, because I had this aspect where I just wasn't in the vicinity of having any kind of diapers around. And so that kind of drove my fantasies through the roof and my want to sort of have them. I didn't have a job, obviously, at a young age, so I didn't have any means of buying them. And if I did buy them, I didn't know where I would put them or hide them. So there was often that sort of madness and dilemma. But what I started doing, embarrassingly enough, and my friends still laugh about this now, the ones that know, is that I started basically stealing them from a friend's or a family member's household that I knew that had them, and then I would kind of hide it away like this treasure trove of just hiding one or two away and just kind of like trying it on, and then sort of that was the first time I'd ever sort of gotten to that aspect of the lifestyle of actually having my own and getting them. And it was basically because I had to steal them because I was at an age where I couldn't get them myself or just didn't have my own house or anything like that or own space. So it was kind of a difficult period, I suppose. Yeah.
So you became very resourceful as a young child.
Yeah, almost cunning to a degree. And yeah, looking back on it now, I kind of laugh at my behavior because I have this thing in such a polarized world that we live in now. I think it's really healthy to put ourselves in each other's shoes, including the people that we disagree with. So what I do now is I put myself in the shoes of someone who would have owned the house at the time and had a child and wondered why there was this 12-year-old, 13-year-old boy stealing diapers from my house had I actually caught him. Yeah, so I suppose it's a very, very weird kind of situation when you look back at it and look at it from an outsider's perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's why a lot of people get confused because they don't understand, especially when they're not in the fetish, But I have to stop you really quick because you mentioned not only do your friends know about your kink, but they know the details of it, even as a child.
Yes. I've got some very, very close friends who, and I think this is a huge issue when it comes to this community as opposed to many others. And I don't mean to downplay other people's kinks or fetishes or anything like that, but it is something that is quite secret, obviously, to a lot of people. So engaging that trust with your friends is probably really, really key. And I kind of have friends that they'll describe as lifelong, and I've been able to tell them over time. And it all sort of started when I was about 17, 18. I had one friend who I was able to tell, and it just kind of went on from there. And it became kind of one of those things that kind of I'd say about 40 to 50 people know about quite in depthly, which is quite good. And they're all quite good friends, but I don't think either of them all kind of know each other knows to a large degree. So there's no huge element of conversation where it can be picked up by someone else, or these friends aren't discussing it with each other. And they only kind of discuss it with me. And it's very, very comfortable at a point now where we can have a chat about it and we can have a laugh about it and stuff like that. It's not taboo when it comes to me talking to them about it, which has made me feel really comfortable. And that's the only reason why I would have ever gotten on this podcast today or even had an online persona to that sort of, having the confidence to even do that. So about 40 to 50, no. I think I told you that in an Instagram conversation. I think you were quite blown away that at that number, yeah.
Absolutely. I don't even think I know 40 to 50 people. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
So the first time when you did open up, what was the thought process behind that? Were you just itching to tell somebody?
Basically, yeah. But I mean, it was probably the most nerve-wracking experience ever. I think I danced around the subject probably so many times. My best friend, one of my friends who is now my best friend, she probably should have known anyway. But the irony of being, I was 18 at the time and she was 16. So basically, just throughout our conversation, I kept sort of throwing it in there in conversation, and I'd often bring it up to see what her reaction would be in terms of I saw someone else do it on the internet, or I'd randomly come across this on a Jerry Springer TV show, and like things like that, just to sort of gauge reaction. As I had no idea how it would be received. Fortunately enough, she was really good with it. She's still really good with it now. We often have a laugh about it, and the weird thing being is that had I actually opened up further, I mean, this could have actually happened, but we ended up kind of doing it with each other. It's just one of our weird things about our friendship. We kind of still have a laugh about now. So. The strange thing being, she admits now that at the time during kind of the teenage years, she was actually infatuated with me while we were actually friends, right? I had no idea, and that was the whole reason she agreed to kind of do it. And it wasn't anything that I pressured her into or even asked her to do. She just kind of brought it up, and my nerves went through the roof. And I think it took about a month for me to actually admit to saying, okay, let's try this. And we ended up just putting one on each other and kind of just to see what the experience was like. And I think she really wanted me to experience it because she knew, and I'd had this since I was about 4 years old and always wondered what it was like. And it was a constant on my mind. And yeah, so it's one of those. That was the first time I'd ever kind of engaged in it with someone else, and it's a really good friend, and we're still really good friends now, and we can often have a laugh about it. And that was the one time that we kind of did that with each other. Yeah, and it all started by me opening up with her.
Was it everything that you were hoping for?
To a large degree, yes. I mean, if anything, I think I'd thought about it so long and so often that for it to actually proceed to go ahead, I think that entire week I had a spring in my step, or it's often how I would describe if your dream was to travel to Italy your entire life, and it's the day before the flight. How are you acting? It was kind of like that.
Yeah, and, it's exciting.
And yeah. It was exciting and to a whole new level. So I think I was at school that day. It was a Friday I remember, and I was at school that day, and we were sitting through English literature, the most boring class that I can think of. And then straight after that we had mathematics, which I hate, and it all just seemed fine. It was like, I'm happy to be here. It's a great day. Let's just do this work. It kind of puts a spring in your step, if I can describe it in any other better way. But it was everything that I'd hoped it would be. And also it was the first time I think I'd even had a chance of putting one on someone else, which I probably thought would be even more rare than had I even thought about the prospect of paying someone to put one on me. But
yeah.
If I'd ever got that desperate at that time. But putting one on her, I often thought it was really, really good to get the feedback from someone who would otherwise be described in the internet fraternity as a vanilla in this aspect. And she completely understood it. Once I put one on her, I said, well, how do you feel? Like, what was that like? And she said, well, I can completely understand why people would enjoy this. It's very, very comfortable. It's very, very soft. Probably an emotional aspect attached to it and attached to the process that you've picked up somewhere. So it was really good feedback from someone who actually isn't in the community that I was able to kind of share this with, who I'm still good friends with now. And she was able to give me her very, very valuable feedback, I think.
I love that. That's awesome. So as you started telling more people, because I think you mentioned she was the first, right?
Yes.
As you started telling more people, did your confidence get a little better? Like, did it become easier?
It did become easier. And I think I just found other methods to try and kind of feel people out in terms of their personality. Now, I kind of knew these people very, very well anyway, prior to telling them. So it wasn't anything I just rushed into telling anyone. There were people that I would describe as lifelong friends, even if they were the sort of people where if you didn't see them for 3 years and you caught up later, nothing changes. They're those sort of friends that you can trust, and they know what this is to you, so they know to mention it to other people could very well cause you a whole lot of conflict and pain that they probably wouldn't want to do. So it's just people that kind of understand that and have the maturity about them, but also enjoy having a laugh about it. Now, that was probably one of the main things is when I first told friends, they had these concerns that, because in New Zealand, suicide is a massive problem, particularly amongst men under 30. So I think everybody treads carefully around things that could hurt others, which is, in a large degree, I suppose, very, very good.
Yeah.
So they had concerns about even joking about it, whereas I was of the personality that the more you joke about it with me in private, the more normal it feels. Just like you're joking with me about anything else. So it's very, very healthy to kind of have a laugh about it. I mean, provided we're not in front of a group of 30 friends that, I don't know very well. But yeah, the more that sort of happened really made me feel more comfortable with it. And it made me kind of open up to more people and get their feedback. And I suppose the most valuable thing of about 40 to 50 of my close friends knowing is that every single one of them are vanillas. I thought that there may be a ratio of the people that I tell, like maybe 1 out of 50 might be ABDL, and this is a good way of feeling out if someone else out there that I know may actually be one as well. But of the 40 to 50 that I know, none of them are, but they'll all be described as vanillas. But the valuable feedback that they've given has been really, really good, just on their personal opinion of it and why they think I should not tell other people and not go public with it, and why they think there's nothing wrong with it and it's completely harmless, which is really, really good because often we have those concerns about ourselves. And I would say it's probably one of the best decisions I ever made with it. It made me feel a whole lot more okay with it now than I did when I was growing up, and I figured I thought I was the only person in the world that had this, and there's something wrong with me. Is this normal? Were you asking all these questions and you have nobody to ask these questions to?
Right. It sounds like you have great friends who really have your best interest in mind. That's just really invaluable right there. Is there anyone you have decided not to open up to? And if so, was there a reason why?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I think this boils solely down to culture and what sort of cultural environment you kind of live in. Now, as far as I know, I have only ever, and I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but I've only ever opened up to my female friends. And part of that is not in a creepy way, like I'm hoping one of them is going to be an ABDL.
Right. But it would be nice, though.
Yeah, I mean, very nice. But yeah, it was almost in the way that there's I wouldn't call it toxic masculinity, but the masculine side of having male friends, particularly in the country that I live in, it just doesn't seem like it would go down well. There's any way that I could describe it. So I think I would need to have a whole nother level of confidence in myself to tell my male friends, but also confidence in them that they wouldn't actually talk about it and gossip, because guys, for one here, open up to all their other male friends far more often. They let a lot of things slip when it comes to a lot of other things that they shouldn't be telling people, and seeing all of those examples just put trust issues in the way of me telling male friends. I think a few of them kind of sort of possibly know through the grapevine, because there have been other instances where there was a dress up party and I figured, well, this is a great idea to go in a diaper and dress as a baby because other people have done that costume, but I can get away with this. So this is great. And so, often, when I did turn up, and it wasn't in a costume diaper or anything, it was in like a full-on one that you would see on like AB Dreams or something like that.
Yeah.
They all just thought it was funny. All my female friends knew and were giving me the thumbs up, like, good stuff. Like, I see what you did here. You've gotten away with it. That's awesome. We respect that. But yeah, so some of my male friends, I think, kind of had an aspect just simply solely from that costume idea. And I think they often just bring it up as a joke every now and then, just out of possibility, not that they have any sort of factual evidence that I am actually. So it's just something that I have never really kind of opened up to my male friends, and I think it's partly because of the culture that me and my friends kind of live in at the moment, and there are trust issues there with how they would accept it or how they would actually keep it secret.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like you've really picked up on some hints, and you've kind of taken notice of how well they can keep other people's secrets.
Exactly,
and
it's a good example.
Since this isn't something you want to broadcast to the world or anything like that, it's just a safer play. Besides, it's a little bit unnecessary for them to know, especially when you've had so much luck with the ladies and telling them. I feel like that's a little more rewarding to hear it from the opposite sex, Yeah.
And I mean, if anything, if there was any sort of judgment, which completely at the same time is just my opinion, it's not absolute facts. I hope I don't offend anyone with any sort of sexism, because it's very easy to do, but I just feel that there's more of a nurturing side to women that kind of understand these things. And as much as women do kind of gossip, as much as men do, the ones that I've chosen to open up with have all been really, really good. Very, very down-to-earth people, very trustworthy with other things, which was a a good example of how well they keep secrets, and also just them understanding what this kind of is to me, and that it's not really anything that I can change. It doesn't hurt anyone. It's valuable feedback that I've heard from them, so there's nothing to worry about. And so there's no real kind of need or likelihood that they'd tell anyone.
Absolutely. So what about your relationships, like dating and stuff like that? How has it gone with that?
Not good with that. So I haven't actually opened up with someone that I've dated before, partially because I've looked for those certain clues that I had in my friends. No, so I looked for those certain clues that I had in my friends and stuff that I've told, and they just didn't really tick those boxes in terms of if they would open up to it or agree with. And if they did, I would be quite happy to share it with them, because obviously that was the person that I was attracted to at the time, and I would obviously want to share these things with. But I haven't had too many sort of relationships. I've seen a few people if there's a difference in saying that. But the ones that I've had a relationship with where it was serious just didn't seem like they would, one, be into it, or two, that they would even be impressed by it at all. And they'd probably be, if not anything, turned off by it. And I think it's a very valuable thing, is that when you look for these boxes to tick before you tell someone or open up to someone, is that there very well are people out there who will not accept it at all. They may misinterpret it, or they may simply by association not want to associate with you through whatever reason that they choose. So it's still a very real aspect with telling people, and I think that's the reason why we tread so carefully, and why I have tread so carefully and chosen the people that I've told selectively. But the few women that I have been in a relationship with, I haven't been able to tell them, because I've looked for those clues, and it seems like they were not very impressed by it at all. And the main example that I used was the costume that I'd worn. I'd just, bringing up conversations about silly things that we've done and we've worn, and I'd bring that up as a kind of a little field question or field example to gauge their reaction, and they didn't react too kindly to it. So it just seems like something I was just not going to go down that road. And the unfortunate thing was, though, is if that relationship happened to become long term, is then what would I do? It would be a new dilemma of obviously having this ABDL side and not being able to share it with them kind of ever, really, because I'd gauged their reaction right at the start and found they just weren't someone to tell, or that they wouldn't accept it.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question. I was really curious, when they don't tick the boxes, you do sometimes stay in the relationship, even if...
Yeah, stay in the relationship, because I think there are more things to being in a loving relationship than just the ABDL side. And if anything, if it's something that I can kind of keep personal to myself, it wouldn't be seen as being disrespectful or cheating on them in my regard, because one, I'm not doing it with anyone else. It would just be me simply wearing when I felt comfortable or anything like that. And if anything, if I could keep it to the side, it would be me being less, I suppose, what's the word, where I'm just making it about me. I mean, there's more, there's more happiness involved, and so many better experiences involved with having to feel that I need to open up to them and ruin it for them and ruin everything else, good that we have going, simply because of that, when it's something that, am I quite happy to put it to the side and kind of do it very rarely in my own time when I have my own space, and keep the things going and keep things loving and happy as they otherwise would have been. And then that's exactly what I ended up doing. I just figured that I did love this person. I didn't want to lose them simply over something small like this that I can actually keep to the side. It's not a huge part of me that I need to be involved in the community every single day. I don't need to wear them every day. I'm kind of not at that level. It's a kink for me, so not a lifestyle. And I know that is a very interesting debate going on currently within the internet community of ABDLs, as I've seen on Instagram, a few people that I follow kind of raise debates, and there's been very, very massive polarized debates over, is it a lifestyle or is it a kink? Because if it's a lifestyle, then they start including minors into their Instagram followers. But if it's a kink seen by many, then that is absolutely excluded for obvious reasons. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's very, very polarized. And I think if you see it as a kink, then you may see it, not telling your partner, as something that you're kind of it's a bit of a trust issue there. But if you see it as a lifestyle, then it's something that you kind of can keep to the side a little bit and maybe not have to involve them with.
Yeah,
or maybe I've got those two around the wrong way.
Wait, I think you meant like if it's a kink, you can do it on the side. And if it's more of a lifestyle, you kind of feel like you need to incorporate your partner into it.
You're almost living a lie to a large degree, because it's such a huge part of your life. So to me, it's a kink, and I would otherwise absolutely keep minors out of the space. But that's not me judging or passing any judgment at all on people who see it as a lifestyle and disagree with me. It's a very polarized topic, and I don't want to, obviously get into it, but that's just how I live my lifestyle. It's associated with it, and that's the way I would kind of describe it, as if I was in a relationship with someone currently. Yeah.
I am totally with you, because I feel like there are two very different types of groups within this community, and I am also on more of the kink side. I mean, 95% of the time, I'm an adult. I'm enjoying being an adult. Like,
exactly.
I love those parts, and then there are people who really don't connect with that other side, and they feel like that is their personality. So I feel like I'm on the other side. It's just different. It's just two different needs, wants within the community. Very interesting.
And obviously, going back to that example of putting myself in other people's shoes, if I put myself in the shoes of the 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 13-year-old that I was, I mean, finding an internet community like this would have been a godsend at the time. But obviously at the time, if you think about someone who's not ABDL and they are 13 and they are looking for, obviously what's into their kink, you simply wouldn't agree with them being involved in a kink community at that age. So as much as I feel like a hypocrite passing judgment on minors who would try and be involved with the spaces on Instagram and all the internet, you kind of have to draw the line, because obviously you just simply weren't old enough to consent or know better at the time. So you do need to kind of exclude them, unfortunately, until they are of age. And that's the way I kind of see it, simply because of how I live my life. And that's not passing judgment on people who see it as a lifestyle and don't probably kink it or fetishize it as much as probably.
I feel like it's not always a sexual thing for those people, is the difference too. And for me, it is definitely very sexual. I don't know about you.
That's
for you as well?
I keep it. No, me as well. So that's why I keep it very, very separate. And that's why I would exclude them. Yeah.
Well, Jake, thank you so much for coming on the show. I wish we could keep talking, but I gotta cut it off here. But thank you so much. I really enjoyed getting to know you, and I hope you have a great day.
Thanks very much for having me on. It's great. I love hearing the podcast, and I learn so much more every day. I hope people can learn from my experiences as well.
I think they will. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Lo.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.